I'm here with Matt Udale from Arch Communications.
Hello.
Hi, I'm really pleased that you're here to talk to me because I did kind of like badger you earlier and say, come and talk to me. Tell people a little bit first about what it is that you do.
Okay, so Arch Communications is, the simple description is a PR and marketing agency, but actually what we do is tell stories. So we help people work out their story and then tell it. And that leads to lots of different things, whether that's content for social media, for websites, creative content, copy, rewards, publicity with the news media, lots and lots of different applications, but it's all about profile and reputation.
Now, those of us in the East Midlands will kind of know your history because we'd have seen you on the telly. Tell us a little bit about how you went from working at the BBC to setting up your own business, and maybe, because I don't know this, why you did that.
Okay. So I when I describe myself, I say I've had 3 careers. My first career was as a journalist. I did that for 25 years, and I went into journalism because I love writing. And there aren't many things where you get paid to write. A big chunk of that time was with the BBC, and I was on East Midlands Today back in the 1990s, made documentaries, ran radio stations for 5 years, had a great career. Got slightly, I think I was having a midlife crisis, getting a bit stale, wanted to be something different. I then went into corporate communications at quite a senior level within the NHS. I was a director of communications, and I did that for about 3 years, learned a lot, did a master's in strategic communication, but then lost my job in the reforms of 2011 when they completely changed the way the NHS was structured. The organisation I worked for ceased to exist, and suddenly I was on my own. And that's when I went out on my own. Over the years, built the business up. We're still not particularly big. There's a few of us now. But this is now my 3rd career. So I fell into it like a lot of people.
A lot of people do. You mentioned storytelling and the power of that, and that makes sense in terms of what your history is. For businesses maybe watching this and thinking, well, how does that fit into what we do, and how do we understand what to do there? Can you give us an idea of maybe some of the basics that people should think about?
It's a really good question. So we find actually some quite big organisations that think they're quite sophisticated actually haven't got this quite right. It's maybe not that surprising because it's very easy for us as outsiders when we start to work with, whether it's a business or some other sort of organisation like a public sector body, to ask the dumb questions because we know nothing about them. And what we do is we tease out what it is they do, what they think special about themselves. And often you find the thing that's the most interesting and the most unusual, the thing that they really should be using to sell themselves, is the thing they take for granted because they're doing it every day. So they don't see the wood for the trees. So it's helping organisations go through that process. Once you're clear what your narrative or your story is, then you've got to apply that with quite a lot of discipline for it to really work. So that's all your marketing, all your social media activity, but also if you've got a workforce, do your staff know the story?
Okay, yeah.
Are they saying that to the people they meet every day? And on the flip side of that, when things go wrong, if you've been really clear, why you're good at what you do and why people should be interested in you, tends to limit the damage when something negative comes along. So it's about building up credit. So effectively, that's what they do. It sounds sophisticated. It really isn't. What are your key messages? Well, if you were doing a big TV interview now, and there were 3 things you absolutely wanted to get across above all else, and this is what we say to people when we do media training for them, what would those 3 things be?
So tell me a little bit more about the employee story then, because I'm quite interested in how you can get your team to understand what that narrative is. Is there a particular way to do that?
Lots of different ways of doing it. The most common problem is that you can have a senior leadership team who get it. They know what their story is, and it's a pretty good story. But if it's quite a large organisation, it has to trickle down through lots of layers. By the time it reaches the people at the lowest levels of the organisation, it's like Chinese whispers. It's different. And you have to make sure, you have to go out of your way to shape that story with everyone across the organisation so they own it from day one. Mm-hmm. So it's about little workshops and testing things and hearing, and often actually you get brilliant ideas or things that you should be saying from the most unexpected sources within your organisation.
So with the members of the team?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you build. It doesn't have to take very long. It sounds like a big job, but it isn't. But so often we run a few workshops with people, and then it's about when you shape it, the message, you make sure you've got the right mechanism in place so that they can receive those messages and use them. So it's literally like saying, these are the things we want you to be saying to our customers, all members of the public, if you're a local council or an NHS organisation or something like that. And equally, you need to hear from those people on the shop floor when things are not going right, because there's nothing worse than saying we're great at whatever, and actually people's experience is the opposite, because then no one believes you. So you have to keep testing it. And often that's about putting in the right, how often you're really talking directly to your workforce. Do you have a structure? Do you have monthly meetings? How do you do it? And for really big organisations, that's quite a big job. For smaller organisations, it might just be a get-together once a fortnight. So it's horses for courses, but you have to do that because otherwise the mismatch starts to happen.
So keeping people on track regularly, reminding people what the core story is or the core message is.
That's right.
And if someone was doing a launch of a new product or a service, is it a good idea then to specifically talk about the comms related to that so they can also reinforce that?
Absolutely. Spot on. So if you've got a new product, it may well be, or service, may well be that your team has been involved in developing that product or service anyway. So actually they may know it better than you if you're the first running organisation. So they absolutely have to shape it. So get them to sell it to you as if you were a customer.
Okay, like sell me this pen kind
Exactly.
of thing. Okay.
And out of that starts to evolve your messaging. And that at the same point, they own it from the very beginning. They're much more likely to use it if they've helped to shape it and they own it, and they believe it, rather than just parroting something that's been told to them.
And is there something there about trust from a customer to an organisation? Because I think we all can spot a marketing message a mile off.
Yeah.
Is there something there about, I don't want to use authenticity because it's a bit of a overused word, but hearing it from an employee or a member of the team rather than from a brand account, does that add something to that?
It does add something to it. And of course, even better than that, which is part of your, most organizations' marketing strategy is when your customers are saying nice things about you. So that's when testimonials come in. They are crucial for our business. They're a big part of how we market ourselves. It's much more believable coming from a customer. Well, you would say that you're good, wouldn't you?
Of course.
Because, all businesses do it, but actually it's a very systematic thing that we do. And we've got a very big selection of case studies of work we've done on our website, which again feeds into our social media content, and which means we're constantly reinforcing what we're saying. But we don't directly sell. We don't say, here's a product, buy this. We talk about what we're up to. We share some of our expertise. We share messages from people we've done work for who are very happy with what we've done. And that's how we promote ourselves.
I really resonate with that. I think that's that for a service-based business in particular, where you don't have something physical, it can be sometimes hard to articulate the value of what that service is. And as you say, having testimonials, case studies, evidence goes a long way.
It brings it to life. And we have a very wide, people probably already gathered from this conversation, we have a very wide client base. So startups, small charities, some quite big private sector brands. We've done work for government programs and government departments, and as well as local authorities, quite big ones. So it's a real mixed bag. So actually what we've done is we've carved up our portfolio into chunks. So if you're an NHS organisation, here are examples of work we've done in this sector and so on. People often say to us, what do you specialise in? What sector? And we say we don't specialise in sectors, we specialise in PR. We specialise in being good at what we do. Actually, the principles of good PR you can apply to any sector. And in fact, in a way, it's good if it's a sector we've never worked in before, because we bring new ideas.
I like it a lot. I think that, again, it sort of resonates with me, that aspect. So just a final question then about how you use that yourselves. You mentioned that you don't sell as such, but it sort of sells itself from the evidence. Are there any other marketing channels that you particularly use aside from the PR and the comms aspect that you feel works very well for your business?
I'm a big believer in the fact that good business is based on good relationships. So it's very much being out and about to do a fair bit of networking, but also it's massively especially these days, it's about your online presence. It's about, I've already referred to the social media content, getting that right. Lots and lots of potential clients come to us and say, I haven't got the time, or I don't know what to say. And it's helping actually understand there's lots of different types of content you can come up with that really creates a rich mix that makes people want to follow you. You've got to be useful and interesting and a human being. And if you sell too much, then it's a massive turn off and people don't want to engage with you. And it's very organic. You can't say that post led to a sale. It doesn't work like that. It's about general reputation and profile that in the fullness of time takes people one or two steps along that journey that might lead to them transacting with you. So we're in this for the long game. And one of the greatest sources of pride for us is the fact that an awful lot of our business is clients coming back to us. They've used us for a project, comes to an end, thank you very much, goodbye, then they come back. And that's the ultimate accolade, really.
I love it. Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate you spending time to talk to me today.
My pleasure.